Pressure from a world where we're being forced to see all this national and international news and tragedy. These culture wars that are going on. The pressure to be this way or to be that way.
Welcome to the weekly recap and Anchor Point discussion starter, where we play back part of this week's message and share questions you can use to discuss with your family, friends, or small group. The purpose of Anchor Points is to pray for one another, share God's word together, and to spend time in fellowship building relationships. You can do that anywhere at any time. So here is this week's clip.
And so I'm going to share with you a saying that often explains the difference in those type of games of what is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. And it goes like this. Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing it does not belong in a fruit salad. Does that make sense? Knowledge is knowing it's a fruit, but wisdom is knowing you don't put it in a fruit salad. Because the reality is that's not how you apply a tomato. So when we look at Proverbs 9:10 and we see that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding, we begin to see that this idea of wisdom has to do with the respect of God. It's applying the knowledge that God is all powerful, that God is the creator, knowing that because of that, you now interact with God in what we see here is worded as fear. And we've talked about that before. It's not about being afraid. It's about being in awe and knowing that God is that powerful. And so we worship him. We've talked about that before. It's a recognition of being lower than God, that we have this fear or this respect of God. We're taking the knowledge and we're applying it to how we interact with him. But the truth is, one can understand and gain understanding about the Holy One through knowledge. That's the second part. And not get the wisdom part right. You can know about God. You could have God's word memorized. And if you're not putting it to action in your life, you're not showing wisdom. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. I love Jesus' words here because they're so intentional and they're beautiful, and you might not pick it up. But let's break it down, and maybe you'll see what he's saying here. Where does the rain come from? It comes from where? Which direction? Up. Okay. It says the stream rose from below. So where's that coming from? Below. Where's the wind come from? The side. Jesus is pointing out, and if you haven't figured this part out, that the house is our lives. The house that you are putting on this rock is your personal life. And what Jesus is saying is that when the storm comes, it's going to cause problems from every side. I know many of you in this room know that feeling. You know the feeling of pressure coming from every direction. Pressure from a world where we're being forced to see all this national and international news and tragedy. These culture wars that are going on. The pressure to be this way or to be that way. The pressure to provide for your family and your kids. The pressure when an unexpected bill or the loss of a loved one or a medical issue suddenly arises. We all know what it means to be hit by all sides, and so we know what Jesus is talking about. We know what it's like to see the storms of life sweeping in and being terrified our life is going to be ruined. But listen to what Jesus says. Those who put their house on his words, his teachings, are wise because they live how he tells them. And those people will not be moved because their faith in their life is built on him. So here's my thought process. In a relationship, there's a requirement of interaction. Like if you know of someone is not the same of actually having a relationship with them. When you have a relationship with them, there's interaction between the two people, right? Everybody follow me there? So the difference there is whether or not there is actually interaction. The word interact means to act between. So relationship and interaction are basically the same thing. If you interact with anything, you have a relationship with it. So I thought about the proverb that we read earlier, Proverbs 9:10, and how I mentioned there at the beginning that the wisdom comes from the fear of God. And when I looked at it, I realized that the idea of having fear or having respect is an interaction with God. Because I could just know it, but when I actually put it into action and I respect God, that's me interacting with Him because of what He's done with me, which is the interaction that He has with me. I mean, He created me. He's given me my purpose. He's been interacting with me my entire life. And when I start to interact with Him, there's now a relationship. And so when we say it over and over again that wisdom has to do with the application or the action, so we have interaction, we have reaction, we have all these action words. When we actually act with God, there's a relationship. So what does that all boil down to? The beginning of wisdom comes from a relationship with God. Some of you are probably now looking at me and go, yeah, Pastor, that's kind of obvious. Some of you might be having your minds blown. Some of you probably don't even know what I just said, and that's okay. But it leads me to my third and final point this morning. It's this. I recognize relationship with Jesus as wisdom. Not only is it wisdom, but the stronger the relationship we have with Jesus, the wiser we become.
Hey guys, Pastor Trevor again. Just wanted to remind you how important it is for you guys to spend time together reading God's Word. When you do this, it gives you the opportunity to be able to share with one another, be able to help each other understand, be able to ask questions together, do all these things. Take time, whether it's on your phone or whether it's on your physical Bible, or I've got the scripture is actually going to pop up on the next screen if you want to just pause it there and take time to read it together there. Reading God's Word together is a crucial part of our anchor points, of our small groups, of family time together, spending time learning about God. So take a minute to do that, and then you can get back into the video.
Hey Compass Church, it's Pastor Trevor here, and as we just talked about wisdom and we talked about how important it was to stand on God's Word, I've got two questions for you. What are you doing to learn God's Word? How are you trying to learn it so that you can then apply it in your life? And then, of course, the second question follows up with the idea of wisdom, the application of knowledge. How are you applying God's Word in your life? What are ways that you are using God's Word to make decisions or to just do things about your regular life? Like, how are you using God's Word to guide you through that? And so these are the questions for this week. Don't forget to also use the questions, our normal questions for our discipleship strategy. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Have a blessed week.